What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about approved condiments. What's up, guys? Ryan Blakeley here.
Coach Sam, what's up, guys?
And like you guys saw in the intro, today we're going to talk about approved condiments. So as you guys see here, we have a couple condiments scattered across the counter. You'll see you have your hot sauces, you have your soy sauce, your mustard, no sugar added ketchup, and even your huge sugar-free barbecue sauces and honey mustards. So with all these condiments up here, guys, what we want to talk about is we get a lot of questions, a lot of DMs from everybody about what condiments can I use or can I not use, which one tells me you're not reading the welcome packet, so read the welcome packet. But two, they are a lot of good questions. For the most part, what we see a lot is individuals coming aboard, getting on a program, and thinking that since they have a nutrition plan and it's, got a nice assortment of clean foods on there, that the first thing they would need to do is cut out all their condiments and just eat plain bro food. And that's where a lot of people fail, because when you don't have the flavor in there, it gets very bland, obviously it gets very boring, and then your second, third day in, you're already over it. So I encourage you, and I know Sam does as well, encourages you guys to use condiments, but what you need to do is just use specific condiments that you're super selective with that are going to add flavor to your meals and not actually add extra calories. Because what we don't want to do is just add empty calories to our meals in place of actually good whole food that we want to obviously take in. So when you look at your hot sauce, there's 0 fat, 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 protein. There's literally nothing in these hot sauces, guys. So hot sauce is definitely an approved condiment. I know a lot of you guys love hot sauces, so keep those in. Soy sauce, obviously for rice and everything else. You can even cook in this a little bit. It's got a lot of sodium, but as long as you're monitoring your sodium, you're not just overloading it, you'll be in a good spot. We'll talk about these here in a second, but you have your mustards and your ketchups, which obviously a lot of people use on, their foods for the most part. And then of course we have even some buffalo sauce here, which again, 0 fat, 0 carb, just a little bit of sodium in here. So really not a bad condiment. The one thing though, these are very popular, the sugar-free dipping sauces that everybody loves to use from B Hughes's. I mean, they're bomb. They're freaking awesome. But the thing is, these do have some carbohydrates in them. Not very much, but obviously everything does add up. So you just want to make sure that you do track it, but also a dab will do you. You guys don't need to use half a jar on your freaking, chicken and rice. 1 or 2 tablespoons will do you just fine. But just take a little bit of time when you go to the grocery store and you're looking at condiments. If you see something you like, just go ahead, just like you do with everything else. Look at the nutrition label. Make sure again that it has 0 fat, 0 carb, or at least less than 1 carb for the most part is what I try to look for. Protein not really pressed on. Some of these things have protein, like soy sauce has 1 gram per serving, but all these condiments, guys, you can use. I don't want you to feel like on your programming, you can't add condiments because they're bad. Condiments are not bad. Everything is decent within moderation. So just be selective with the condiments that you use, and you don't want to look at using a lot of very sugary, very high carbohydrate sauces or even dry rubs, which Sam's gonna talk about here in a second. But for the most part, guys, just look for very low cal, 0 cal sauces or anything that you want to use condiment wise, and just be cognizant of the label. As long as you're cognizant with the label like you are with all your foods and everything else, you'll be in a good spot and you can keep your condiments in and you can add those flavors to your meals without adding the extra calories. So what I'm gonna do now is jump it over to Sam and let him talk about dry rubs.
So like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people think that when you got to remove condiments, you got to remove salt, you got to remove seasonings from your plan, but that's far from the case. For me, I love using dry rubs and seasonings to spice my food as opposed to using condiments, and it's actually what I use more than using condiments. So a lot of things that I like using, and you can be very diverse in this. I mean, this can take your cooking to another level as long as you're watching like the sugar intake. Again, a lot of these like barbecue seasonings might have sugar. So same concept as when you're talking about the condiments. You just want to make sure you're very low in calories, watch your sodium, make sure that there's not a lot of carbs, under 1 gram or 2 grams, and then no fats in it. So I like Feast Mode, great one. It has a lot of different flavors, your basic McCormick stuff, your Goya adobo seasonings, pretty much anything that's going to be, like I said, with very low fat content, low carb content. And as long as you're watching your sodium intake, you're going to be fine using all of these. And when you work out, you're going to naturally lose a lot of sodium when you sweat. So you do have to replace that sodium. And that's why it's important that you make sure you don't cut out salt when you start any kind of plan, especially when you're going to be aggressively exercising and losing a lot more sweat than you're used to. A hack that I'm going to let Ryan talk about, which is probably he put me onto one of these hacks, is this popcorn seasoning, and it's probably one of your favorite things. I mean, these things you can find in pretty much any grocery store, and they're a game changer.
So just like Sam said, guys, this popcorn seasoning is insane. So white cheddar, butter, they even have nacho cheddar, Parmesan garlic. You can find these, just like Sam was saying, in any grocery store, and they're actually literally in the popcorn aisle. But these things, like I said, guys, these are great for seasonings. You can use these on vegetables, on egg whites. I've even tried them on rice before. But these are a good little hack, and they probably have about a dozen flavors out there, and they're made by Colonel Seasonings. Again, there's the little popcorn seasoning bottle right there, but these are freaking absolutely gold. Great flavor hack.
So don't shy away from using seasonings, using those kind of things, using condiments. You do want to include them in your toolbox, as I like to say, when it comes to your cooking and meal prepping. It's not supposed to be this boring adventure that you're going to go on. It's actually very exciting. You should be able to learn a lot of things in the kitchen. And that's what I want you guys to take away from this. So hope you guys learned something. If you have any comments, if you have any concerns or anything, you can always comment below, DM us, and hope you took something away from this. If you want to add anything, you're good to go.
Welcome to the district.